Star Trek Enterprise, originally just called Enterprise, had a slow start, but eventually it hit its stride with a really dramatic and well put together third season and a brilliant season 4, finally becoming the prequel it was supposed to be, tying itself into canon really well with brilliant stories, setting up the birth of the Federation story arc, the Mirror Universe, a great backstory for the Vulcans, and heaps of other great nods to the events of the other series and films. As much as I loved all of the Golden Era Star Trek shows, Enterprise occupies a special place in the franchise for me. The more sophisticated production values, excellent cast, and more serialized storytelling were among the show's strengths. Even looking back at the first 2 seasons, despite a few duds in there, some forgettable episodes, a lack of overall direction, and some pacing issues, there were still some absolute gems in those first 2 seasons. Enterprise is among the most underrated Trek shows, and although it's unfortunate that it ended on such a poor episode as These Are the Voyages, the potential for a revival is on the cards, though I will preface this by saying I sincerely hope that any such follow-up series will be made by any production company other than Secret Hideout. This article is from TrekMovie.com. Scott Bakula talks Star Trek United. Producer reveals more details on proposed series. Last Friday, this article is actually from August 12th, Trek Movie exclusively broke the news that Star Trek Enterprise star Scott Bakula had teamed up with Voyager and Enterprise writer-producer Mike Sussman on a pitch to return to the franchise in a new series centering around Federation President Jonathan Archer. They envisaged the show as a political thriller and a family drama set in those chaotic, formative years of the Federation, and they even have a name for it, Star Trek United. The idea was floated to Paramount a couple of years ago, but with the pullback in streaming and focus on developing Starfleet Academy, they passed on the idea. However, Bakula and Sussman have continued to refine the concept and hope the new Skydance regime at Paramount will be open to consider this show as part of their plans to expand Paramount Plus. It is just crazy to me how Star Trek's Starfleet Academy got the green light and not this Star Trek United series. I mean, it would have been very simple. Throw a poll on social media and ask the fans which show they would prefer to have made. A Star Trek Starfleet Academy series based in the Discovery timeline, which is unfortunately what we're getting, or a Star Trek Enterprise follow-up featuring Scott Bakula as President Archer called Star Trek United. I think it would have been a no-brainer. The vast majority of people would have chosen Star Trek United. Who would ever want whatever the hell this nonsense is? Like I will always say, give the fans what they want, but instead, that's not what we're getting here. We're getting something no fan ever wanted ever. And moreover, the Star Trek Starfleet Academy concept is not new. It was the original idea for Star Trek VI back in 1991, and it was rejected then. Anyway, more on this topic right after this. But before I go very much further, a quick reminder to check out my debut sci-fi novel Deus V Machina, a Cody Stockton mystery, available from the links below. This novel is a noir sci-fi thriller set in Las Vegas in 2045. Detective Cody Stockton investigates an accidental death that turns out to be murder, and the case soon spirals into a major global conspiracy involving an authoritarian AI system and a nefarious satanic cult with genocidal ambitions. But what do these events have to do with the sudden emergence of a man with supernatural abilities who claims to be the son of God? In this fast-paced story packed full of twists and revelations, Stockton must race to stop Armageddon while confronting his own personal demons and questions of faith. So check out Deus V Machina, a Cody Stockton mystery, from the links below in ebook, paperback, and audiobook formats. Okay, so welcome back. The article continues. As we reported earlier, the Star Trek United concept would see Bakula as President Archer helping shape the early Federation, as he wished he'd had the chance to do had Enterprise continued. There was also a funny moment when the fan who asked about United jumped in to say she was ready to offer up $5 for the project, and Bakula quickly jumped back to joke, "I'll take it, crowdfunding." Now, wait a minute. The actor wrapped up his appearance on stage by promising to return for STLV in 2026 to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Star Trek Enterprise. Mike Sussman was a guest on Trek Movie's Does Canon Matter panel on Saturday, and the subject of United came up within the context of the panel subject. the writer and producer, was asked how much he feels a show like United needs to rely on the nostalgia and populating the show with canon characters beyond Archer, Sussman said. When you're establishing a new show, I think it's important that it stand on its own 2 feet. If you lean too heavily, too soon, on bringing back characters from other shows or films, you risk slipping into pure member berries. With United, the ideas Scott and I discussed centre on a lot of new characters, but of course, there are plenty of opportunities for some familiar faces to appear, maybe even in recurring or semi-regular roles. Yeah, I think there has to be a balance there. I maintain that fan service is customer service, so give the fans what they want, of course, but it has to serve the story. You can't just throw in empty references and bring back legacy characters for the sake of trying to entice people to watch it. So absolutely, the comment there about member berries is very valid. It says, wrapping up the topic of United, he again compared his vision for the show to the recent critically acclaimed Star Wars series Andor and how it was more grounded, avoiding overt fan service while remaining true to the Star Wars mythos. He feels there is room in Star Trek for an adult show like that. Yeah, I mean, Andor as a series was well received, and it was especially appreciated for how it neatly tied into setting up the events prior to Rogue One, a Star Wars story, adding more context to the backstory of the character of Cassian. But ultimately, Star Trek needs to be true to itself and get back to being hopeful, optimistic, and ultimately, I think, a bit more wholesome than it has been in recent years. So I think it's time to get rid of the swearing and dark, edgy stuff that was part of Star Trek Picard and Discovery. So that's more discussion on Star Trek United. What do you guys think of this concept? I mean, of course, it would be fantastic to see Archer back. I think it would be amazing to finally get to see the true birth of the United Federation of Planets, which Enterprise was setting up in its 4th season. It was getting there. But unfortunately, it was cancelled just before that was going to come to fruition. I mean, just imagine if a couple of years ago, Paramount had greenlit this Star Trek United series and Terry Matalas's Star Trek Legacy series. Both shows running at the same time. I think the franchise would be in rude health right now. Instead, we're going to get Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Can't wait for that. Anyway, guys, looking forward to your comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button and the notification bell to be notified of future updates. Share this video out there. Take care, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye-bye.